Hi, I'm Mike Derelia with Engine Power Source, and welcome to another edition of EPS Shop Talk. Today we're going to be discussing how to bleed the air out of the fuel system on our Tier 4 20 and 30 kW gensets. Now you'll need to do this after the initial install, anytime you change the filter for routine maintenance, and also if you run the generator set out of fuel. Now, if you've ever worked with a diesel engine, you know that any air introduced to the fuel system can create problems. By following this simple process, we're going to work to remove all the air from the system and have a steady stream of fuel available to the engine. Our first step is to remove the end cap from the fuel filter air purge line. This should be finger tight and easy to remove, but if not, you can use a 1/2-inch wrench. The next thing we need to do is loosen the fuel bleed screw on top of the fuel filter assembly. We'll need a 10mm wrench, and we're just going to loosen that 2 or 3 turns. Now we're going to use the plunger on top of the water and fuel separator to remove the air from the system, and we'll know that we have when we have a steady stream of fuel coming out of the hose. At that point, we want to close the bleed screw on the top of the fuel filter. Now that we've tightened the screw on the top of the fuel filter assembly, we need to put the cap back on the drain hose, and you just need to do that finger tight. Next, we want to come back to the pump on the water and fuel separator and pump some additional times until the plunger gets hard to push. Now that we've bled the majority of the system, the next thing we need to do is bleed the air out of the fuel injection pump itself, which is located here on the side of the engine. There's a small plunger just next to the oil fill that will need to be operated while we are starting the engine. We'll also need to pump that a little bit after the engine starts to make sure we have truly gotten all the air out of the system. One final thing to keep in mind whenever you're performing maintenance and changing the main fuel filter. These main fuel filters have a 1 micron filtration rating on them, only available from Kubota. And the clean part of the filter is the center part. So you want to make sure that you install this filter dry. You never want to put diesel fuel inside the filter when you're changing it. That could risk getting contaminants in the fuel system and create many problems in the operation of the unit. If you'd like to read more about this, you can find step-by-step instructions for this process in our installation and maintenance manual on page 26. Well, that takes care of this episode of EPS Shop Talk. We'll see you next time.